And now, making their way into the arena, hailing from the great pro wrestling state of Massachusetts, they are the hosts of the Top of the Cage podcast. Here are Bill and Juice.
And thank you again, Rich Palladino, the voice of New England, always making us sound so good. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, it is I am the super producer. I am Bill, joined always by my tag team partner, my wrestling confidant. He is the future booking genius and the prince of pro wrestling podcasts. He is Justin Juice Cannon.
Boom.
Boom, baby. Juice, we are kicking off the year 2023 in style, and we have big things coming up in 2023 for the podcast, but somebody else that has big things coming up for them is the Silver Sniper himself, TJ Crawford.
Yeah, for sure. He's got so many shows, both end the year and kick off the year. Can't wait to see what he does. I can't wait to see his reign as chaotic tag team champion. It's going to be long, very long reign. Impressive reign. It's going to top the unit's reign because the unit stinks. Go TJ. Go TJ. Go TJ.
That is, by the way, one of my favorite chants. The go TJ. Go TJ.
I love it too. That's why I want to incorporate it there. This is the perfect time.
It really was. And we had a perfect time talking to the Silver Sniper tonight. Definitely somebody that brings a ton of energy and is part of some of our favorite tag teams. I know Juice said, they are going to be taking on the unit, and anybody who is a faithful listener of the show knows that I am a little bit of a unit mark, but I do love Doug, and I do love TJ Crawford, and Shot Through the Heart, I think, have the best chance of taking away the unit's historic title reign. But we will not hold you back any longer from hearing the voice of the Silver Sniper. Ladies and gentlemen, here is TJ Crawford.
Hello, everybody, listeners of Top of the Cage podcast. I am Juice, joined by my co-host Bill, and we have another interview for you with the Silver Sniper himself, half of Shot Through the Heart. If you're a chaotic fan, which you all know we are, it is TJ Crawford himself. How you doing, man? How you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. I hope you guys had a good Christmas.
Pretty good. I got the scarf I'm wearing.
I like the scarf. I like this. That's alumni of Creator Pro right there. So
very true. That's actually, I didn't even think about that. I knew it was Creator Pro.
Oh, the first thing that popped in my head when I saw it.
Which actually, that is a great segue to our first question. You are one of many Creator Pro wrestlers that are mainstays in the New England indie scene. What can you say about your time training there and training with guys that they just produce so much talent, like MJF and Danhausen and so many more guys, Caster?
Coming from Creator Pro was pretty cool. I originally from Chicago, and I moved over to New Jersey to start training at the Creator Pro New Jersey school back in January of 2016. So in about a month, it'll be my 7-year anniversary of my first day of training. So I'm excited about that. It's a cool little milestone. But just training there was awesome. Pat Buck was the head trainer with the Creator Pro New Jersey school where I was at. And he's just a complete well of knowledge. He's incredibly talented, incredibly, like I said, knowledgeable. And the guy can teach a broomstick how to wrestle. I think he's that good when it comes to training people. And it's really cool to see guys like MJF and Max Caster and Anthony Bowens, and even Chris Statlander, whenever she does get healthy, killing it over at AEW, especially someone like Anthony Bowens. My very first day of training, he's the one who brought me in and introduced me to everybody. We have a family connection. which I didn't know about until I started looking up schools I wanted to go to, and I came across him. And he kind of showed me the ways. He told me everything that was going to be expected of me, everything that was going to be expected of somebody who trained at the school, and just how hard the life of a professional wrestler is. And he definitely wasn't joking around when he was talking about that, because it's been a tough 7 years, but I definitely thank the training I got at Creative Pro for getting me through these 7 years. So shout out to Pat Buck, shout out to Mario Baccara, Kevin Matthews, Dan Moff, all the guys that helped train me over there. So I have nothing but good things to say about them.
Yeah, I feel like when we talk to guys who have graduated from Creative Pro, they have nothing but great things to say. And I mean, they are truly one of the best producers of top tier talent right now, not only yourself, but like we said, everybody else around the New England scene too from there. So one of the questions I wanted to ask is, I know Pat Buck is one of those guys, works with AEWs, worked with WWE, and what is some of the best lessons or advice that he's given you, or any of your trainers for that matter?
The best advice, I mean, it's kind of a funny thing of advice, but Mario Baccara, once when we were working on just basic stuff, just basic chain wrestling and just the basics. I remember he came up to me, and I was trying to figure out how someone had me in some kind of hold, and I couldn't figure out how to get out of it. And I was like, I'm having a real hard time figuring this out. And he came up to me and he said, just roll. All you got to do is roll, and you can get out of anything. And I kind of applied that not only to wrestling, but I'm trying to apply that just to life in general, where it's just roll with it. Like, just roll with whatever life throws at you, just roll with it and make the most out of it. If somebody's got you in a stranglehold that you don't know how to get out of, just roll with it and just, keep pushing and keep just roll. That's, just roll. That's, it's such a weird thing, but it's gotten me through so much, and it's gotten me, out of some dark stuff, and it's gotten me, to the point I am today. Just roll with it. Whatever life gives you, just roll with it, because you can get out of it.
Speaking of just rolling through and fighting through your problems, you just came back from a bad ACL injury. How was approaching that with just rolling through? That's just a tough thing to deal with, just a huge stall on your career.
Yeah, I mean, that was, I remember coming out of the hospital after finding everything out, and I really wanted to make a video to put out to everybody to let them know what was going on. But I've said it in my post, when it happened, that every time I did, I just broke down with it. And I kind of got myself, in that mindset of well, I can't change the fact that this happened. I can't change the fact that I'm going to be on the shelf for a year. I can't change that. So I, like Mario said, you have to just roll with it. This is what my life is right now, and this is what I have to just deal with, and what I have to get through. I have to get through this. It was such a difficult time for me, just because I feel like I was so consistent and so active when it came to wrestling, that having to take that year off really did suck. But just roll with it and just see where I'm at now. It's incredible to think that a year ago today, I was laying in bed in pain, and now I'm sitting here talking to you guys, about pretty much the last 3 months that I've been wrestling, and it's been crazy. And there was a point where I didn't think I was ever going to get back to this, and here I am.
What were some of the things that you were doing to kind of rehab and recover that injury to get back to being in ring shape?
Well, I mean, obviously I had go through physical therapy and all of that, just terrible stuff. That's just, it's the worst. Just going through and having a day where you're like, your knee feels really good, and then the next day your knee feels like it's never gonna get better. But as far as what I was doing to kind of get myself back to wrestling, I wasn't doing anything necessarily crazy or outlandish. I was just kind of going with whatever the doctors told me, whatever the physical therapist told me. But to keep my head kind of clear, I actually built some Legos. I built a Star Wars Darth Vader Lego head, and that kind of kept me occupied for all of about 5 hours. But no, I mean, I just the best thing I did, I think, for my injury and what helped me get back to wrestling kind of in a good mindset was going home. I went back home to Chicago for the first 6 months of my recovery. I went and had my surgery out there, and I was pretty much there until like probably 6 months post surgery until I was able to start walking like kind of on my own. Then I moved over here to Rhode Island, got myself an apartment because I knew that this is where the area I wanted to be, and I wanted to be in the New England area. But yeah, the best thing for me was going back home to Chicago, and I feel like that's a common thing for me. I feel like even during pandemic, when the pandemic first happened, first thing I did, I went home for a couple of months, and I think just going home and being around my parents, around my family, just kind of brings me that sense of peace and just kind of, makes me realize why I'm doing everything that I'm doing and the people who have allowed me to go and do what I do.
And we love hearing that. That's so awesome that you had such a great support system, not only through the injury, but the same thing with the pandemic too. I know that affected a lot of people, and knowing that you have that haven of going back home. And I hope you're not a football fan, because I don't know what's up with the Chicago Bears, but hopefully they're not.
I do like football. Like I follow football a little bit, but even if I like, my team wouldn't be the Bears. My team's actually the New York Giants, which ain't much better.
That's better, yeah. But as two New England Patriots fans, well, Juice is more of a Cowboys fan, but even as a Cowboys fan too, I'm sure he doesn't like hearing that answer.
I just double dislike them. My grandfather's a huge Giants fan too, and we always get into it.
Yeah, that's like my dad's a Giants fan and my mom's a Cowboys fan, so it's like I don't know how they're getting
interesting family dinners.
Yeah.
So just kind of keeping on the topic of the people you have close to you and your support systems. I know we don't usually get too sappy or ask about relationships here, but I know you are with another fellow wrestler, Paris Vandale, and I want to be honest, I don't know how you stand her every day of your life. I am an outspoken Paris hater. I am the first person to boo her the second she comes through the curtain. And I just need to ask you how you stand with her every day. How can you deal with it?
Oh man. I mean, luckily for me, is I don't get that version of Paris. I get the good version of Paris, which is nice for me. Cause I mean, I stand by the monitor, every time she goes out and wrestles, because I always want to watch what she's doing, watch her, go to work, but even I'm sometimes, taken aback by some of the things she says, some of the things she does. I'm like, hi. You see what me and Love Dog are doing. We do everything with pride. We do everything fair by the rules, and we try to get the people involved, get everybody to like us. And then she goes out there and gets booed out of the building pretty much half the time every time she goes out. But luckily for me, I don't get that side of Paris Vandale. I get the sweet, kind, sensitive side of Paris Vandale that nobody gets to see. So I'm all good. I just hope that she doesn't bring that rage out on me.
I hope that for you too. So if you don't mind me asking, how'd you guys meet?
We actually met, we met through wrestling. We actually met up at Limitless during the road tapings back in September of 2020. And yeah, that was the first time we met. We didn't really start kind of talking to each other for probably about a year. But yeah, I mean, once we started talking, once we started getting to know each other, it was pretty much like an instant connection. And she came in my life pretty much at a perfect time for me. I really needed a heavy support system. We got together when I got hurt, which I'm surprised she decided to stay with me, knowing that I was going to be going away for so long. But no, she's as much as everybody hates her, she is the best behind the scenes. So yeah, like I said, we met up at the Limitless road tapings back in September of 2020. So here we are.
Well, we definitely love on this podcast. And I mean, one person we do love, and you mentioned his name too, is Love Doug. I know that's a podcast favorite, also a former guest of ours. And one guy that we just love seeing, and especially the Shot Through the Heart tag team. So can you tell us a little bit how Shot Through the Heart got born?
Yeah. So what was it? I can't remember the exact month, but it was sometime in the summer. we had gotten paired up at Chaotic. We were both kind of looking for something to do. I had come into Chaotic as my first match there was actually with my old tag team with the Beach Bums. And then when I stopped doing that, I got brought back into Chaotic and was just doing some solo stuff. Then during the pandemic tapings, I was teaming up with Tyree Taylor a lot. And it was just kind of like, I just felt like I was kind of bouncing around. I wasn't really doing much of anything. And me and Doug had gotten pretty close over the months we were doing the Chaotic tapings. I got to meet him back in November of 2019. So, we got pretty close, and we just kind of jokingly threw out the idea, like, hey, what if we teamed? What if we, we have matching colored gear, what if we teamed up? That'd be kind of fun. And then we had a match. I think after the match, we were like, no, I think we have some good chemistry together. Like I think there's something here. And, Chaotic allowed us the opportunity to be a tag team. Our very first tag team match, crazy enough, our first match as a team was the TLC match at the Chaotic Countdown of 2021. That was the first time that me and Doug had teamed together. And yeah, I feel like we were on such a good path and such a good trajectory in Chaotic Wrestling. We were, getting ready to take those tag titles from the unit. Then I go down an injury, and then when I'm starting to kind of get ready to come back, Doug goes down with an injury. Luckily, we both came back on the same night at Summer Chaos 2022, and we looked at each other in the mirror and said, okay, well, we're not the same guys we were when we got hurt. We're not we can't be loving the city anymore. That's not us. What does this tag division need? It needed a shot through the heart, and that's exactly what me and Doug are.
That's awesome, man. I love to hear it. That's my team. I can't wait until you finally beat the crap out of the unit. They deserve it. And just take those precious titles away from them. But what's your favorite thing about tagging with Love Doug?
I think the favorite thing about tagging with Love Doug is the energy that he brings every time he comes to the curtain. He always tells me, like, man, being out there with you, you have so much energy. It's so infectious. And I'm like, man, that's you. Like, these people, the Chaotic Wrestling fans, as much as, I love the Chaotic Wrestling fans, as much as I feel like the Chaotic Wrestling fans love me, I feel like a lot of people fell in love with Doug so fast and to such like a crazy degree. Like he's I think he's one, like, obviously it's in his name, but he's one of the most loved people in wrestling. No matter where you go to any building, and his music hits, you walk through the curtain, and that place will go crazy for him because it's a Love Doug. Like, you look at the guy and you're like, how can you not? And I think, and my favorite thing one of the other things I love about tagging with him is just the ideas that we have. I think we have such great ideas, and I think we bounce ideas off each other so well. My living room that I'm sitting in right now, 9 times out of 10, throughout the week, 6 out of 7 days of the week, Doug's usually sitting right next to me, and we're watching tag team wrestling. We're watching different kind of matches. We're watching stuff to try to elevate, our matches, and elevate our game, and elevate the characters, and elevate just us in professional wrestling. And just, I got out of tag team wrestling with the idea that I was never going to get back into it. And then I met Doug, and I fell in love with Doug, and I fell in love with tagging with Doug.
Love to hear it, man. As just the biggest Love Doug mark here. So what are some, you said you guys love just watching some tape, watching some tag team wrestling. What are some guys that you love to just go back and watch as many times, kind of steal some stuff from? Well, not steal, but, influence you.
Doug, I know Doug himself, when he's on his own, watches a lot of WCW and watches a lot of like Harlem Heat. I like to go back and watch like some Brainbuster stuff. I watch like Rock and Roll Express. I watch, the Revival and DIY, a lot of their matches they were having. I like, one of my favorite wrestlers of all time is Jeff Hardy. So I love going back and watching the Hardy's matches. I'm a big David Richards fan. I love going back and watching, American Wolves and Beer Money and, all the TNA teams. We were watching a lot of Motor City Machine Guns. If they're known as one of the best tag teams of all time, that's who we want to watch, and that's who we want to study, because we want to be one of the best tag teams of all time. So why not watch the best?
So Wrestle's coming up this week, and you brought up American Wolves. They're gonna be facing Morrissey Machine Gun. So you guys gonna be there to watch, since I know you guys are both have matches during that weekend, right?
Yeah. Because that Prestige show is on that Friday, I believe. Because I will be there Friday for the Blitzkrieg Pro show at 3 p.m. And I know Doug will be there for. I'm not sure if he's doing the Wrestling Open Last Stand show, but I know he is on Heavy Lies the Crown. Him and Tender Weapon, the flirtation against LMK and Teddy Goods, which should be a fun one. But no, we will definitely be in the building, watching the Wolves, watching the Machine Guns, hoping that one day we get to step into the ring with both of those teams.
Yeah, I know. I felt Juice's ears perk up the second you mentioned Motor Machine Guns and Beer Money too. But we had a guest on probably within the last few months, and we were just talking about how Beer Money is one of the more underrated tag teams in history. And personally, I've always been a WWE person growing up, and I didn't get too much of TNA, but I always knew Beer Money. Like Beer Money was that one tag team where I was like, I'm not a huge TNA fan, but these guys have something.
It was, you got to look at it. It was the entrance of them coming out with the electric, cooler. I always thought that was the coolest thing. They would come out riding the electric cooler to the ring and drinking beers. Although I'm as a kid, I'm only 25 years old. So I was 10 the first time I saw Beer Money. And I was like, this is so cool. These guys are just drinking beer, going to the ring with their electric cooler. What more could you ask for?
Yeah, I thought that was cool too. I think maybe my first sip of beer, I was watching TNA, watching James Storm drinking. I just stole one from my fridge, and I was like, "This is gross." I was 11. I'm like, not drinking this again. But obviously, that opinion changed as I got older. But yeah, it's funny. I mean, they're the best. So much charisma and energy, like you guys. You guys are infectious out there.
And I know we mentioned a little bit about taking the Chaotic Tag Team Championship belts off of the unit. And at Chaotic's last event of the year, the unit attacked you and Love Doug pretty hard. And I know we talked about it a little bit in our little exchange on the DMs, but it looked like that ladder caught you pretty good. Just wanted to ask you if you were all right after that, and kind of as a performer, when something like that happens, how do you adjust for that?
Yeah, so they obviously ran at us with the ladder and caught us with that. Then the ladder bounced off the ropes and fell down and caught me right in the side of the head. I had a nice big lump on the side of my head, which kind of sucked because I had to be a groomsman at my cousin's wedding 2 days later. So that was nice walking into that and having to explain why I have a giant bump on my head. But with that being said, when I got hit with that ladder, the only thing that running through my mind was, I can't wait to get my hands on these two, because Trips, Danny, OG, 40, whatever the hell you want to call them, they have been absolute thorn in me and Doug's side for the better part of 2 years. Like I said, the very first match that me and Doug were teammates for was a TLC match for the Chaotic Wrestling Tag Team Championships that the unit were a part of. And then Summer Chaos 2021 happens, and they pin Doug to become the tag team champions. And then JT is in the match that Doug gets injured. My very last Chaotic match before I got injured was against the unit for the tag team championships. This has been 2 years in the making. This has been almost 2 years of us trying to get these tag team championships. And on January 13th at Pandemonium, I don't know when this podcast is going to come out. I don't know when, the video is going to come out of us challenging them. And I don't know if they're going to accept or not, but I'll just say it right here on the podcast that me and Love Doug are challenging the two of them to a ladder match for the Chaotic Wrestling Tag Team Championships at Pandemonium. And I promise you that Love Doug and TJ Crawford are going to climb the ladders. We're going to win the tag team championships, and we're going to send the unit packing, because their 1.5 year reign as tag team champions is absolutely over.
and I cannot wait for that moment. I'm a unit mark. I won't lie. I specifically more like Danny Miles than most of them, but
Trigga is one of them all.
well, him and I, he's like the shorter, stockier guy with the beard, and I tend to go towards characters like that. But but I will say, you and Doug, like I said, we are Love Doug Marks, and of course we are TJ Crawford Marks too here on this podcast. And I would love to see, Shot Through the Heart climb a ladder, grab those titles, and finally shut those two up, because like you said, it's nearly 2 years in the making for this story, and I would love to see both of you triumph over them.
Me too. I would like to see that. Like I said, January 13th, it's going to happen. We're taking those tag team championships. Nothing they can do about it.
I'll be there and I'll be screaming my head off for you guys. And I'm just going to laugh in Danny Miles' face as loud as possible, because when Bill hit it off when Danny was on the pod, me and Danny were button heads the whole time. So
good. Boo him, laugh at him, make sure he knows that we embarrassed them.
He'll know. Hey man, and talking about future upcoming shows, just a lot. Today you were announced, as we're recording this, you were announced that you're going to be at the first Pug Pro show in North Andover at the New England Pro Wrestling Academy. Can you talk about what you know about that promotion, what we can expect from the doggy daycare event and everything going on there?
So you can just expect some fun some fun family-friendly professional wrestling. I know who I'm wrestling on the show. Public does not know who I'm wrestling on the show yet, so I will not be the first person to announce that, because I don't need Kevin the dog, Kevin the pug coming after me and ripping up my Pug Pro wrestling contract. But no, I mean, man, Pug Pro is gonna be so much fun. Running out of the New England Pro Wrestling Academy. It's limited to only 50 people. We're trying to keep it really, really tight. But it's gonna be a really, really fun show. And I encourage everybody who can make it out to the show to definitely try to snag one of those 50 tickets, because it's gonna be a really fun show. I know they just announced Ace Romero versus Ricky Smokes, which I think is gonna be absolutely incredible. I think match that's going to steal the show easily is going to be Andy Brown versus Aaron Rourke. Those two, I mean, Andy Brown's absolutely tremendous. Aaron Rourke, soft spot in my heart. That's my guy right there. Obviously another Creative Pro trained guy. Someone who I've gotten super, super close to over the last couple of years. And those two are going to absolutely tear it up. And I hope that people come out, that everyone who comes out to see it walks away from that show being like, wow, Andy Brown and Aaron Rourke, they just killed it, because I think they're definitely going to.
Yep, we can definitely say that we have secured our tickets to the event. I was refreshing that Twitter page right at 7:00. I wanted to make sure we were the first people getting that. Thankfully, the front row sold out, and we were able to grab a handful of tickets there for us and our friends that will be joining us. So we are very excited for that show.
Yeah, it's good. Like, that's gonna be a fun one.
And of course, too, you are a Wrestling Open talent, one of the many. I know over the last few weeks, we've had Dustin Waller on, Mortar on. A few weeks before that, we had Brad Hollister on. And all of them have just such great things to say about Wrestling Open. So as a talent that's featured on Wrestling Open pretty often, what draws you to Open and what keeps you coming back?
It's the kind of like the camaraderie you kind of get to build with the audience. With it being a weekly thing, it's pretty much the same people coming every single week to watch. You can watch every stream back and you can see pretty much the same people standing in the same spots. So that's what kind of draws me to it, is that is having that kind of consistent fan base. It's like being on a TV or wrestling for a TV audience, because you're having kind of the same eyes just constantly seeing you and seeing you and seeing you, and it makes them care more. If they're seeing you every single week, they care about you so much more. Whereas if they see you once a month, they might not care about you as much. And the wrestling at the locker room is just absolutely tremendous. They're so like welcoming. When Wrestling Open started, I was on the shelf. I was still injured. So I sat back every Thursday and I watched every single Wrestling Open up until I wrestled Alec on the first one that I was on. I watched guys like you mentioned, like Dustin Waller and Ichiban and Kylon, and I watch them come into their own and become just absolutely tremendous at what they're doing. I have to obviously talk about the Brick City boys. Those are my two legit best friends in the whole world. Like I've been through so much with those two guys. And getting a team with them this last week was like dream come true for us. We had something kind of going at Creative Pro before I got hurt, and obviously I got hurt, so didn't really get to go anywhere. So getting a team with them that was so much fun for me, because I watched them not only from the day they started, but I got to watch them on Wrestling Open every single week while I was sitting at home. I got to watch them grow, and I got to watch them become just overall just tremendous professional wrestlers, and like just where they're at in their lives now to where they were at beforehand. I'm so incredibly proud of those two, and I would never have anything bad to say about the two of them. Like I said, they're my two best friends in the whole world. They've worked their asses off to get where they are. They have, they've done things that people told them they couldn't do, and I can say that because I was there. I was there when people told them that they weren't going to do these things. I was there when people told them that they weren't going to be successful as a team, that they weren't going to, they were never going to figure it out. I was there. We spent hours, nights, days, anything you can imagine, just sitting and watching wrestling and talking about wrestling and just envisioning what we wanted, our lives to be like, and envisioning where we wanted to be in wrestling. And like I said, to, forget about me, I'll do me, but getting to watch them like become absolute superstars every single week, like nothing could have made me happier than watching them kill it and getting a team with them this last week. So Brick City, if you ever hear this, you obviously know this, but I love you two so much. I love you two to death. I would do absolutely anything for those two guys.
Love to hear it, man. Just about to wrap up here. Just a couple more questions, one from each of us. Let's just go to one that we should have asked in the beginning. Silver Sniper is a badass name. How did you become the Silver Sniper?
So it's kind of how I've been, it's crazy to think about now. It's kind of how I've just lived my whole life. I always looked at my whole life as I've had to do everything with absolute perfection. I was bullied. I was made fun of. I was told I wasn't good. I played basketball my whole life, baseball, football, whatever it was. I was always told I wasn't good, or I wasn't this, or I wasn't that. So I took it upon myself, like, well, no matter what, people can tell me that I'm not good. People can tell me that I'm this, that I'm that, but I know that I've put in 100% of me, and I've done everything absolutely perfect, and I've done everything with accuracy, and I've done everything, just the way that I envisioned it being done. And that's kind of where the Silver Sniper came from, where it's like I took my injury as I can't half-ass anything. I can't be, off-centered with anything. I can't be out of line. I have to do everything perfect. I have to make sure that this knee is absolutely perfect. I have to make sure everything I'm doing is perfect, and that, my vision's not steered a different way, that I have clear vision, straightforward. And the only thing that was on my mind was getting back to wrestling. So I looked at it as I've kind of had tunnel vision for the entirety of my injury. And I looked at that as, well, that's me now. I'm started living my life kind of, at least for that year, in a scope, and just kind of like, if this is the destination I need to get to, and I have to shoot my way through all these little obstacles, and I have to get myself to that point, and I can't be off center when it comes to that. I have to be absolutely perfect. If that makes any sense.
It does. That makes 100% sense. And I think that's a great meaning behind the name too. I know for myself, I always was like, oh, the Silver Sniper, like that's badass. And I kind of like thought it would be like the superhero. Was it Quicksilver, right? Juice, if I know.
Oh, yeah.
So I thought, oh, maybe it'll be like a little bit like that, but no, I think that meaning behind it is way more significant.
And I also kind of used it as I am like you used the superhero analogy. Like I am a Fantastic Four fan, and I really liked the Silver Surfer. So I kind of was like, well, I got all of this as for the sniper thing. Where's Silver coming from? Well, I like the Silver Surfer. I used to be a beach bum back in the day, so I can kind of be classified as a Silver Surfer. I mean, especially when I especially dyeing my hair gray and silver. So yeah, just kind of mashed the two together. And it's like I said, it's me. It's not really, this is the first time in wrestling that I haven't put on a character or put on an act. Whenever you, from the day I came back until now, like everything you've seen has been 100% me. It's been, I don't feel like I'm having to play character. I don't feel like I'm having to put on this act, or I have to get into the mindset of the Silver Sniper. It's me, and it's how I'm living my life, and it's how I go about my days. That it's like, if I end the day and something was off, then when I wake up the next day, I'm going to make sure I fix it. I'm going to make sure that it's perfect.
Hell yeah. Well, I know, speaking for myself and Juice here, the Silver Sniper is a great character, and like you said, I am personally drawn to the characters where it's just an extension of the person. And I feel like for the 50 plus interviews we've done, we talked about people who are like, yeah, the character is just an extension of myself. Those are the people that we are drawn to and we always see succeed. So definitely wish nothing but the best for you there.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. And as we come to the end of the interview here, TJ, we have one final question. It's a little cliche, I won't lie, but it's a possible two-parter depending on how you answer it. So the question is, what is your dream match of all time? Now, it can be a singles match, tag team, triple threat. Anybody involved is your choice. The match stipulation type too, whether it's like a ladder match, table match, anything like that's your choice too. Any event, any arena, any time, no limitations. It's your dream, so we won't tell you how to live it.
Man, well, my dream match, I would love to wrestle Rey Mysterio. That's like, he was my favorite wrestler growing up. And it's crazy to think that it's like it's a possibility. It's still a possibility because he's still going strong. As far as like the match types, gotten to compete in a few ladder matches. I would love to steel cage. That'd be so cool. And then obviously I'd love to compete at WrestleMania. That's like the pinnacle. But as I say that though, for me, when I got into wrestling, I fell in love with New Japan. So I guess a dream for me would be to wrestle at the Tokyo Dome and wrestle for Wrestle Kingdom. If I'm looking at, I guess a dream or a goal of mine right now, that's the goal. And that's the dream, is to get to wrestle at Wrestle Kingdom and get to wrestle in Japan and get to experience all that and wrestle guys like an Okada or like a Kushida or Taiji Ishimori, people like Kenta. Kenta just came over for a whole US run. And I was like, I want some of that. I want some of that action. So I guess, guys like, doing stuff like that. But I guess, as a kid growing up, competing at WrestleMania, wrestling Rey Mysterio, that's always been my dream. It's always been the vision in my head. It's like, man, I'm gonna wrestle Rey Mysterio at WrestleMania one day in a steel cage.
My favorite part of that is just how possible it is, because
yeah.
We've even seen just within the last like 5 years. Ray did a tour of indies and definitely had a stellar run that brought him back to WWE. So hopefully if he does end a WWE contract and decide to do one last run on the indies, I hope you and him can at least square up and get that off your bucket list.
That'd be tremendous. That'd be actually great.
So technically you do qualify for the second part of this question. So
okay.
All the wrestlers that you gave us are currently active wrestlers. So this question is with non-active wrestlers, and they don't have to be alive. So dead or alive, any non-active wrestler.
Man, the first that comes to my head, Dynamite Kid. Like that, because that style, that's the style of wrestling that I love, and that's the style of wrestling that I love to do. So getting to to square up with the guy who kind of innovated that style and innovated that, he's the reason a lot of people wrestle today. He's the reason a lot of people are wrestlers, guys like him, man, Bret Hart, Owen Hart, Eddie Guerrero, Kurt Angle, guys like that. Those would just be tremendous. I mean, then, I say those because I think those would be fun. Those would be just good matches that I could have. And then you have someone like, like an Undertaker or like The Rock or, Hulk Hogan, just guys who are like just over the top characters and just over the top personalities. Like I couldn't imagine being in a ring with guys like that, and feeling the energy and the magnitude that they have just walking to the ring. I feel like something like that would be really, really cool.
I appreciate the Dynamite Kid show too. That's the first time anybody's answered that question with that answer. And I feel like that you're right. Like innovator of that style, like a reason why, a lot of the guys who, maybe aren't the big meathead muscles that can powerbomb you 600 times in a match and dominate you like that. He definitely is a big reason why we see a little bit more of the technical style nowadays.
Yeah.
Well, TJ, officially with the last few minutes of our interview here, we like to always let our guests plug and promote anything they have going on, be it merchandise, events coming up, social medias, anything like that. So with that, the floor is yours.
All right. So you guys can catch me this week at the Festival on Friday, 12:30. I should say December 30th. I don't want to say 12:30. We're going to think it's at 12:30 p.m. December 30th, I'm going to be at the Festival at the White Eagle for Blitzkrieg Pro, myself versus Ichiban versus Dante Drago, which is going to be so much fun, just in an overall just tremendous event. The whole weekend is going to be great. You can find me on social media on Instagram and Twitter at TJC Wrestling. Unfortunately, I don't have any merchandise available online right now. Hopefully that's going to come pretty soon. I have a few t-shirt designs. I'm just waiting to get the green light to kind of put those out. You can also catch me January 1st, New Year's Day, over at Live Pro Wrestling in New Bedford, right next to Kojo's Toy World. That's gonna be a fun show. I'm gonna wrestle Nico Silva. It's gonna be the first time me and Nico are gonna step in the ring together, so I'm very excited for that. And January 7th, Pug Pro at the New England Pro Wrestling Academy, and then January 13th for Chaotic Wrestling presents Pandemonium, where Shot to the Heart will be taking the Chaotic Wrestling Tag Team Championships away from the unit.
Well, every event that you just named, we are absolutely looking forward to, and we will definitely be in attendance for not all of them, but definitely most of them. So again, TJ, thank you so much for joining us tonight. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, and hope you have a good rest of your night.
Thank you guys for having me. This is so much fun. Hopefully we can do it again sometime.
All right, guys, we are back, and thank you for listening to that interview. It was a fun time having on. It flew by. Great dude. Had so many great things to say. Inspiring dude too. He's had a back and forth year, a tough year because of that injury, and then deal with a lot of things because of that, and then coming back, making his return just a few months ago, and getting back into it, and he's hitting the races, man. He's on fire right now, and he's not gonna stop 2023. We're lucky to get to talk to him and see his mindset on that.
Yeah, coming back from an ACL injury is one of the toughest things to do in professional sports. And, hearing him talk about, kind of being in a tough place and relying on his support systems, friends, families, loved ones, I think that's a great message to send out for anybody who feels like they're dealing with a lot. There are definitely people out there who care and love you, and, you just gotta battle through the storms. And I think TJ Crawford's a great example that, when you fight your fight, great things happen. And he is somebody that you should be on the lookout for in 2023, because I see big things coming for the Silver Sniper. And of course, you can keep in the conversation with us on social media. You can let us know what you think of the Silver Sniper, what you think of us. I don't know why you do that, but you can do that anyway. But Juice will let you know where you can find us. So, Juice, where can the people find us on social media?
You can go on Twitter and you start typing and you type capital T, capital O, capital T, capital C, underscore, capital P, lowercase o, lowercase d. That's our Twitter handle. Instagram, it's TOTC underscore POD. Once again, all lowercase, but you have no choice because they won't let you do capitals. And that's where you can find us on the socials.
You haven't cut a promo on Instagram in a while. I think that was the first time you've done that in a few episodes. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, as we come crashing down to the mat on this episode of Top of the Cage, I want to thank you all again so much for tuning in. And if you are listening to us on Apple or Spotify and you don't leave us a 5-star review, that means that specifically you, that person not leaving us that 5-star review, will not get 5-star content. And that is just a fact.
Fact.
And again, thank you all so much for tuning in, and we will catch you next time.